The notification pinged while I was pretending to pay attention to a keynote about advanced threat detection. My phone lit up with Jenna's name, and for a split second, I felt that familiar flutter of anticipation. Maybe she'd finally send something sweet while I was stuck at this cybersecurity conference in downtown Minneapolis. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Letting everyone know we're on a pause, just need space to figure things out. Don't contact me for a while. I stared at the screen, reading it 3 times before the words actually registered. A pause, like I was a Netflix show she'd gotten bored with. Cool, I typed back. What else do you say to that? The speaker droned on about 0-day exploits while my marriage apparently became one. I'm Miles, by the way. 30 years old, decent at my job. Terrible at reading the signs that my wife of 3 years was about to hit the eject button on our relationship via text message. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my buddy Jay from work, forwarding me a screenshot from Instagram. Jenna's story, a selfie with the caption, "Independent era begins now. Living my best life. Solo journey." Solo journey. Right. The thing about being married to a yoga instructor/social media influencer is that your personal life becomes performance art. Every smoothie bowl is content. Every sunset is a metaphor for growth. Every marital breakdown is apparently a spiritual awakening that needs to be documented with the perfect filter. I scrolled through her recent posts. There she was at some trendy brunch spot yesterday, captioning it, "Nourishing my soul. Table for one." The day before that, a mirror selfie at her yoga studio with "Learning to love myself first." Funny thing about those solo adventures, in the background of the brunch photo, I could make out someone's hand reaching for the check. A hand wearing a very distinctive silver watch that definitely wasn't mine. The conference break couldn't come fast enough. I stepped outside and called Jay. "Dude, I saw the screenshot you sent. There's more, isn't there?" "Man, I wasn't sure if I should say anything, but yeah. Tammy posted something on her story last night. Your wife was at that new club downtown with some guy. Big dude, looked like he could bench press a car." Tammy. Jenna's best friend since yoga teacher training. The one who always looked at me like I was a stain on her organic cotton mat. "Send me whatever you've got," I said. Within minutes, my phone was full of evidence I never wanted to see. Jenna and some muscle-bound guy at the club, his arm around her waist. Jenna laughing at something he whispered in her ear. Jenna looking happier than she'd looked with me in months. The guy looked familiar. I'd seen him somewhere before. Then it hit me. Aiden, the owner of that CrossFit gym where Jenna had started teaching mindful movement classes 3 months ago. The same time she'd started staying late for inventory and coming home smelling like someone else's cologne. I sat on a bench outside the conference center, watching normal people walk by living their normal lives, while mine apparently disintegrated in real time. The Minneapolis skyline looked the same as it had this morning, but everything felt different now, like someone had adjusted the contrast on reality. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Miles Patterson?" "Yeah, who's this?" "This is Frank, your landlord. Listen, I got your notice about ending the lease early, but I wanted to confirm. Your wife seemed surprised when I mentioned it. She was here this morning asking about the yoga retreat center I own up north. Said she needed somewhere quiet to meditate for a few days. I hadn't given any notice to end our lease." "Frank, I never sent you any notice." "Huh. Well, someone did. Came from your email address this morning. Said you and the wife were splitting up and needed to be out by the end of the month. Even had your electronic signature on it." "Can you forward me that email?" "Sure thing. And Miles? I'm sorry to hear about you two." She seemed real torn up about it. Torn up. Right. So torn up she was planning secret getaways while her boyfriend forged my signature to end our lease. The email arrived 30 seconds later. It was from my Gmail account, all right, but I hadn't sent it. The signature looked perfect, Too perfect. Like someone had copied and pasted it from another document. I called Jay back. Emergency meeting, conference room B. Now. What's going on? Someone's trying to steal my life, and I need your help to figure out exactly how much they've already taken. Jay found me in the conference room, laptop open, surrounded by empty coffee cups, and the kind of manic energy that comes from discovering your entire life is a lie. Okay, walk me through this, he said, settling into the chair across from me. Jenna wants a pause. But before she even sent me that text, someone used my email to end our lease. Someone who had access to my electronic signature and knew exactly how to make it look legitimate. You think she's been planning this? I think she's been planning this with help. I turned my laptop toward him. Look at this. I'd spent the last hour doing what I do best, digital forensics. Our joint checking account showed charges I didn't recognize, expensive dinners at restaurants we'd never been to together, a weekend at some fancy resort up north, charges at Aiden's gym that went back 2 months. She's been using our money to date this guy, Jay said, scrolling through the statements. It gets better. I pulled up our credit card statements. See this charge at Victoria's Secret? Same day as the resort weekend, and this one at some boutique downtown, right before she started posting all those independent woman selfies. Jay whistled low. She's been documenting her affair on social media while using your credit card to fund it. The best part? Look at the dates. I highlighted several transactions. Every single romantic dinner, every gift, every hotel room. It all happened on days when she told me she was working late or at some yoga workshop. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Hey Miles, this is Aiden from CrossFit Central. Jenna gave me your number. She's really going through a tough time right now and could use some space. Hope you can respect that. I showed Jay the message. This guy has some serious balls, Jay said. Or he's just really stupid. I started typing. Let's find out which. I pulled up Aiden's social media profiles. The guy was exactly what you'd expect. Shirtless gym selfies, motivational quotes about grinding and hustling, and a disturbing number of photos with married women from his gym. All of them looked at him with the same expression Jenna had in those club photos. Looks like my wife has a type, I muttered. What's your play here? Jay asked. Before I could answer, my phone rang. Jenna. I let it go to voicemail, then played it back on speaker. Miles, I know you're probably confused and hurt, but this is really what's best for both of us. I've been feeling disconnected for months, and I need time to figure out who I am outside of this relationship. I'm going to stay at a retreat center for a few days. Please don't try to contact me. I'll reach out when I'm ready to talk. Jay and I looked at each other. Retreat center, I said. The same one your landlord mentioned. The one Frank owns. I called Frank back. Hey Frank, about that retreat center. Did my wife happen to mention if she was going alone? Funny you should ask. She reserved the couple's cabin. Said she might have a friend join her for some healing work. After I hung up, Jay leaned back in his chair. So let me get this straight. She asks for a pause, tells you she needs space, claims she's going on a solo spiritual retreat, but actually books a romantic getaway with her boyfriend, using your money. While her boyfriend texts me asking to respect her need for space. And someone forged your signature to end your lease. Someone who had access to my email and knew exactly how I signed documents. Jay was quiet for a moment. Miles, I've known you for 5 years. You're one of the most ethical guys I know. You've never even taken extra napkins from the cafeteria, but this calls for a different approach. What are you thinking? I closed my laptop and looked at him. I'm thinking it's time for Jenna and Aiden to learn what a real pause looks like. The thing about cybersecurity is that it teaches you to think like the bad guys. You learn to find vulnerabilities, exploit weaknesses, and always have a backup plan. Turns out, those skills are surprisingly transferable to other areas of life. I started with reconnaissance. Jenna had always been careless with passwords. She used the same one for everything. Our anniversary date followed by her favorite yoga pose. I'd watched her type it 100 times, always telling her she should use something more secure. She'd laugh and say, "Who's going to hack a yoga instructor?" "Well, honey, today you're going to find out." Her email was a gold mine. Months of flirtatious messages with Aiden, starting innocent enough, questions about class schedules and equipment, but quickly escalating into something that made my stomach turn. The worst part wasn't even the explicit stuff. It was how happy she sounded, how alive, like she'd been holding her breath for 3 years and finally remembered how to exhale. But buried in all that digital infidelity was something much more interesting. A conversation with Tammy about the plan. "Are you sure Miles won't suspect anything?" Tammy had written. "He's so oblivious. Yesterday I literally told him I was working late and then posted a story from dinner with A. He liked the post. He has no idea what's happening right under his nose." What about the lease thing? That seems risky. I know someone who can handle the paperwork. Miles will think it was his idea by the time we're done. Then I can play the victim. Poor Jenna, abandoned by her husband, forced to start over. It's perfect. You're diabolical. I love it. I learned from the best. I sat back in my chair. This wasn't just an affair. This was a coordinated campaign to destroy my life while making me look like the bad guy. My phone buzzed. Jay. "Conference is over. You coming back to the office?" "Not yet. I need to make a stop first." CrossFit Central was exactly what you'd expect from a place run by someone named Aiden. Lots of exposed brick, industrial lighting, and motivational posters about crushing your enemies. The kind of place where people paid money to flip tires and pretend they were training for the apocalypse. I found Aiden in his office, feet up on his desk, talking loudly into his phone about some protein powder sponsorship deal. He was bigger than he looked in photos, all shoulders and jaw, and the kind of confidence that comes from never having to think too hard about anything. He saw me through the glass door and held up one finger. The universal sign for, "Hold on while I finish this very important call that's definitely more important than whatever you want." I waited. Patience is a virtue, especially when you're planning someone's downfall. "You must be Miles," he said when he finally hung up. "Jenna's told me a lot about you." "I bet she has." He gestured to the chair across from his desk, but I stayed standing. Power Dynamics 101. "Look, man, I know this is awkward, but Jenna and we didn't plan for this to happen. Sometimes these things just..." "How long?" "What?" "How long have you been sleeping with my wife?" His jaw tightened. "I don't think that's really... 3 months? 4? I'm just curious about the timeline." "Miles, I get that you're upset, but..." "I'm not upset." I pulled out my phone and showed him the screen. It was his text from earlier. "I'm just confused about why you think you get to tell me how to handle my marriage. I was just trying to... To what? Help? By texting me from a number I don't know to tell me to leave my wife alone, while she's using our joint credit card to pay for your dates?" The color drained from his face. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you don't." I put my phone away. "Here's what's going to happen, Aiden. You're going to stay away from my wife. You're going to delete her number, and you're going to pretend this conversation never happened." He stood up, all 6'3" of him. "Or what?" I smiled. "Or I'm going to make your life very interesting." Is that a threat? It's a promise. I left him standing there, probably trying to figure out if he should call the police or just call Jenna. Either way, the game had officially begun. My next stop was the yoga studio where Jenna taught. I'd been there plenty of times, usually to pick her up or drop off something she'd forgotten. The staff knew me. More importantly, they trusted me. "Hey, Miles." Sarah, the front desk girl, waved as I walked in. "Jenna's not here today. She said she was taking a few days off for some personal retreat." "Yeah, that's actually why I'm here." She asked me to grab some of her stuff from the instructor lounge. You know how she is about her special tea. Sarah laughed. Oh my God, yes. She's so particular about that stuff. Go ahead, you know where everything is. I did know where everything was, including the shared computer they used for scheduling and client management. The same computer where Jenna often checked her personal email because the Wi-Fi was better than at home. It took me about 3 minutes to find what I was looking for. Jenna had been using the studio's computer to coordinate with Aiden, probably thinking it was more secure than her phone. She'd been wrong about that, just like she'd been wrong about a lot of things. But the real treasure was in her browser history. Searches for divorce lawyers, articles about spousal support, a bookmarked page about how to protect assets during separation. She hadn't just been planning to leave me, she'd been planning to take me to the cleaners while doing it. My phone rang as I was walking back to my car. Unknown number. Miles? This is Detective Morrison with Minneapolis PD. I got a call about some kind of harassment complaint. You mind coming down to the station to clear this up? I looked back at the gym, where I could see Aiden through the window, still on his phone. Sure thing, Detective. I'll be right there. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and broken dreams. Detective Morrison was exactly what central casting would order for weary cop nearing retirement. Gray mustache, tired eyes, and the kind of patience that comes from dealing with humanity's stupidity for 30 years. So, he said, flipping through a notepad, Mr. Aiden Walsh says you came to his gym today and threatened him. I went to his gym and had a conversation. He says you threatened to make his life very interesting. Those were your words? They were. And what did you mean by that? I leaned back in the uncomfortable plastic chair. Detective, are you married? 28 years. If you found out your wife was having an affair and her boyfriend texted you to tell you to leave her alone, what would you do? Morrison's mustache twitched. Might have been a smile. I'd probably want to have a conversation with him too. That's all I did. Mr. Walsh seems to think you were implying something more physical. Mr. Walsh is sleeping with my wife and using my credit cards to pay for their dates. He might be feeling a little paranoid. Morrison looked up from his notepad. He's using your credit cards? My wife is, to pay for their relationship. Dinners, hotels, gifts, all on our joint account. That's not illegal if she's authorized to use the cards. No, but identity theft is. I pulled out my phone and showed him the email about the lease termination. Someone sent this from my email account this morning. Forged my signature to end my lease early. I never sent it, never authorized it, and never agreed to move out. Morrison studied the email. You think your wife did this? I think my wife's boyfriend has some friends who know how to handle paperwork. Her words, not mine. I showed him the screenshots I'd taken of Jenna and Tammy's email conversation. Morrison read through them twice. This is elaborate, he said finally. It gets better. I pulled up the credit card statements on my phone. See these charges? All from the last 2 months. All at places I've never been, on days when my wife told me she was working. Morrison was quiet for a long moment. Mr. Patterson, I can't arrest someone for having an affair, and technically, if your wife has access to your joint accounts, she can spend that money however she wants. What about the email forgery? That's trickier. You'd need to prove who actually sent it, and that they didn't have your permission. I can prove it. How? I smiled. I do cybersecurity for a living, Detective. Digital forensics is kind of my specialty. Morrison closed his notepad. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to file a report about your conversation with Mr. Walsh. No charges, just documentation. And I'm going to suggest that all parties involved try to handle this like adults. What if they don't? Then document everything, and I mean everything. If someone's really running a con on you, the evidence will pile up. Just try not to do anything stupid while you're collecting it. I stood up. Define stupid. Anything that would make me have to arrest you. Fair enough. I was walking back to my car when my phone buzzed with a text from Jenna. I heard you went to Aiden's gym today. This is exactly why I need space. You're being controlling and obsessive. Don't contact me again. I stared at the message. Controlling and obsessive. For confronting the guy she was cheating with. I typed back, got it. Enjoy your solo retreat. Then I called Frank, my landlord. Frank, it's Miles. About that lease termination email, I need you to forward me the original message with all the headers. I'm going to prove it was forged. You got it. Anything else I can do? Yeah. When my wife gets back from her retreat, tell her I moved out. Don't tell her where I went. Where are you going? Somewhere I can work without distractions. My next call was to Jay. I need a favor. Can I crash on your couch for a few days? Of course. What's going on? I'm about to find out exactly how deep this rabbit hole goes. Jay's apartment was a bachelor pad in the truest sense. Leather furniture, enormous TV, and a kitchen that had never seen anything more complicated than microwave popcorn. It was perfect. I set up my laptop on his dining room table and got to work. The email headers told the story. The message had been sent from my Gmail account, but not from my computer. The IP address traced back to a public Wi-Fi network at a coffee shop downtown. A coffee shop 3 blocks from Aiden's gym. But here's the thing about public Wi-Fi. It keeps logs. And here's the thing about being really good at cybersecurity. You know how to access those logs. It took me about an hour to hack into the coffee shop's network records. The email had been sent from a laptop registered to someone named Marcus Chen. A quick Google search revealed that Marcus Chen was a freelance digital consultant with a very interesting portfolio of services: document creation, identity verification, and reputation management. In other words, he was a professional scammer. I dug deeper. Marcus had a whole network of fake identities, shell companies, and satisfied customers who needed help with complex personal situations. His website was full of testimonials from people who'd used his services to escape bad marriages, pretend to vanish, or disappear completely. And according to his client records, which were embarrassingly easy to access, Aiden Walsh had hired him 3 weeks ago for a relationship transition project. I sat back in Jay's uncomfortable dining room chair and looked at the evidence spread across my screen. This wasn't just an affair. It was an elaborate con designed to steal my identity, ruin my credit, and leave me holding the bag while Jenna and Aiden rode off into the sunset with my money. The only problem with their plan was that they'd picked the wrong mark. My phone buzzed with a notification from Instagram. Jenna had posted a new story from her retreat, a sunset photo with the caption, "Finding myself in the wilderness." I recognized the view. It wasn't from Frank's retreat center up north. It was from the balcony of the Marriott downtown, the same hotel where our joint credit card had been charged for a 3-night stay. I screenshot the post, then opened a new browser window and started typing. It was time to show Jenna and Aiden what a real digital campaign looked like. The beautiful thing about social media is that it's all public. People post their entire lives online, then act surprised when someone uses that information against them. Jenna and Aiden had been documenting their affair for months, thinking they were being clever. They were about to learn the difference between being clever and being smart. I started with the facts, just the facts. I created a simple website, nothing fancy, just a timeline of events with supporting documentation. Screenshots of text messages, credit card statements, email headers, and social media posts. All of it perfectly legal to share, since it was either my own information or publicly posted content. The headline was simple: The Jenna Patterson Story, a case study in modern infidelity. I walked through the entire timeline. How Jenna had started her affair with Aiden while teaching classes at his gym. How they'd used our joint accounts to fund their relationship. How they'd hired Marcus Chen to forge documents and steal my identity. How they'd planned to make me look like the bad guy while they ran off with my money. Every claim was backed up with evidence. Every screenshot was dated and verified. It read like a legal brief, because that's essentially what it was. Then I did something that would have made my old ethics professor proud. I gave them a chance to respond. I sent the link to both Jenna and Aiden with a simple message. You have 24 hours to return the money you stole and end this charade. Otherwise, this goes public. Jenna called me within 5 minutes. Miles, what the hell is this? It's the truth. Something you might want to try sometime. You can't just post our private information online. I didn't post anything private. I posted publicly available information and my own financial records. There's a difference. This is harassment. No, this is documentation. Harassment is when your boyfriend texts me to tell me to leave you alone while you're using my credit cards to pay for your dates. Take it down. Now. Return the money. Now. What money? I laughed. Jenna, I have spreadsheets, itemized lists, bank records going back 6 months. You've spent over $8,000 of our money on your affair. Hotels, restaurants, gifts, even that lingerie you wore to your fake yoga retreat. The line was quiet for a long moment. I don't have $8,000, she said finally. Then you'd better figure out how to get it. Miles, please. We can work this out. We can go to counseling. We could have done that before you hired someone to steal my identity and forge my signature. Now we're way past counseling. I don't know what you're talking about. Marcus Chen. Ring a bell? Another long silence. 23 hours and 55 minutes, I said, and hung up. Aiden called 10 minutes later. You're making a big mistake, he said without preamble. Am I? You have no idea who you're messing with. Actually, I have a very good idea. I know you hired Marcus Chen to forge documents. I know you've been running this same scam on other women. I know about the shell company you used to launder money. Should I keep going? You don't know shit. I know your real name isn't Aiden Walsh. It's Aaron Kowalski, and you've got warrants in 2 states for fraud. I know your gym is 3 months behind on rent, and you're using membership fees to pay your personal expenses. I know you've done this before with at least 4 other married women, and 2 of them are still paying you money they think they owe for personal training sessions. The line went silent. I'd spent the night doing what I do best, following digital breadcrumbs. Aiden's real identity had been surprisingly easy to uncover once I knew what to look for. The guy was a serial con artist who specialized in targeting lonely married women. He'd find them at gyms or yoga studios, seduce them, then systematically drain their bank accounts while convincing them to leave their husbands. Jenna wasn't his first victim. She was just his latest. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Back off, or you'll regret it. I screenshot the message and added it to my website under a new section titled Threats and Intimidation. Then I called Detective Morrison. Detective, it's Miles Patterson. Remember that harassment complaint from yesterday? I think I've got some new information you might find interesting. 20 minutes later, I was back at the police station with a laptop full of evidence. So let me get this straight, Morrison said, scrolling through my documentation. This Aiden Walsh character is actually Aaron Kowalski, and he's been running romance scams? For at least 3 years, I found records of similar schemes in Phoenix and Denver. Same pattern, target married women, seduce them, drain their accounts, then disappear when things get too hot. And your wife is victim number 5 as far as I can tell. Though in her case, she seems to be more of a willing participant. Morrison studied the evidence for a long time. This is good work, Miles, really good. But I have to ask, how did you get some of this information? Everything I accessed was either public record, information I was legally entitled to as the victim of identity theft, or data that was improperly secured and therefore considered abandoned under federal guidelines. Morrison raised an eyebrow. You sound like a lawyer. I sound like someone who knows the difference between legal and illegal hacking. Fair enough. He closed the laptop. I'm going to need to make some calls. This Kowalski character might be of interest to some federal agencies. What about the threats? Keep documenting everything. And Miles? Yeah? That website of yours. You might want to think about taking it down before this gets more complicated. I shook my head. Not until I get my money back. Your call. Just remember what I said about not doing anything stupid. I was walking back to my car when my phone rang. Jenna again. Miles, please, I'm begging you. Take down the website. Do you have my money? I can get some of it, maybe half. Aiden says. I don't care what Aiden says. I want all of it. Every penny, plus interest. That's not fair. You know what's not fair? Finding out your wife is a con artist. I'm not a con artist. Really? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you helped your boyfriend steal my identity, forge my signature, and drain our bank accounts. What would you call that? I didn't know about the identity stuff. That was all Aiden's idea. But you knew about the money. Yes. And you knew about the forged lease termination. Yes. And you knew he was running the same scam on other women. A long pause. Yes. Then you're not a victim, Jenna. You're an accomplice. Miles, I love him. You loved me too. Remember? Together forever and all that. That was different. Yeah, it was. It was real. I hung up and drove back to Jay's apartment. I had work to do. The website had been getting attention. Not a lot, but enough. A few dozen views, mostly from people in our social circle who'd seen the link somehow. The comment section was starting to fill up with people who'd had their own experiences with Aiden Aaron. But the real breakthrough came at 2 a.m. when I got an email from someone named Lisa Martinez. I saw your website, she wrote. The same thing happened to me in Phoenix 2 years ago. Different name, same guy. He took me for $12,000 before I figured out what was happening. I have documentation if you're interested. I was very interested. By morning, I had contacted 3 other women who'd been victimized by Aaron Kowalski. Each had a similar story. He'd targeted them at gyms, seduced them, convinced them to leave their husbands, then systematically drained their bank accounts before disappearing. The total damage across all victims was over $60,000. I updated the website with the new information, creating a comprehensive database of Aaron's crimes. Names, dates, locations, financial records. Everything a prosecutor would need to build a case. Then I sent the link to Detective Morrison, the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit, and every news outlet in Minneapolis. My phone started ringing at 8 a.m. Miles, it's Detective Morrison. We need to talk. The FBI field office in Minneapolis looked exactly like you'd expect. Lots of gray carpet, fluorescent lighting, and people in suits who took themselves very seriously. Agent Sarah Collins was different, though. She had the kind of focused intensity that comes from spending years chasing white-collar criminals. Mr. Patterson, I have to say, this is some of the most thorough documentation I've ever seen from a civilian, she said, flipping through the printed copies of my evidence. You've essentially built our entire case for us. I had motivation. I can see that. Aaron Kowalski has been on our radar for a while, but we could never get enough evidence to move forward. Victims would disappear, refuse to cooperate, or just want to forget the whole thing happened. What's different this time? This time, he messed with someone who knew how to fight back. She leaned forward. We're going to arrest him today. But I need to know. Are you planning to keep that website up? Until I get my money back. That might complicate things. Defense attorneys love to claim that their clients can't get fair trials because of pretrial publicity. Then maybe Aaron should have thought about that before he decided to steal my identity. Agent Collins smiled. Fair enough. Just try not to add anything new until after we have him in custody. Deal. I was driving back to Jay's apartment when my phone rang. Jenna. Miles, the FBI just called me. They want to interview me about Aiden. His name is Aaron, and good for them. What did you tell them? I told them the truth. You should try it sometime. I could go to jail for this. You could. Probably will, actually, depending on how much you knew and when you knew it. Miles, please. I know I screwed up, but I'm still your wife. Doesn't that mean anything? I pulled over to the side of the road. Jenna, 3 days ago, you sent me a text saying you wanted a pause. You didn't want to work on our marriage. You didn't want counseling. You didn't want to try to fix things. You wanted out so you could run away with your con artist boyfriend. I was confused. No, you were greedy. You thought you could have your cake and eat it too. Keep me around as a safety net while you drained our accounts and planned your escape. That's not how it was. That's exactly how it was. I have the emails, remember? The ones where you and Tammy planned the whole thing? Silence. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to cooperate fully with the FBI. You're going to return every penny you stole, and you're going to sign divorce papers without asking for a single thing. And if I don't? Then I'll make sure the prosecutor knows exactly how willing a participant you were in Aaron's little scheme. You're not the man I married. No, I'm not. The man you married was naive enough to trust you. This version of me is a lot smarter. I hung up and drove home, to Jay's apartment, which was starting to feel more like home than the place I'd shared with Jenna anyway. The arrest made the local news that night. Aaron Kowalski, a.k.a. Aiden Walsh, taken into custody on charges of wire fraud, identity theft, and running a criminal enterprise. The reporter mentioned that he was suspected of similar crimes in multiple states, with damages totaling over $60,000. They didn't mention my website, but they didn't need to. By the time the story aired, it had been viewed over 1,000 times and shared across every social media platform in the Twin Cities. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You have no idea what you've done. I screenshot it and sent it to Agent Collins with a note. Looks like someone's not happy about the arrest. She called me 5 minutes later. Miles, that text came from a burner phone, but we're tracing it. In the meantime, you might want to stay somewhere safe tonight. I'm already staying with a friend. Good. We think Aaron might have had some associates we don't know about yet. As if on cue, Jay's doorbell rang. You expecting anyone? I asked. No. Jay looked through the peephole. There's a woman out there. Looks upset. I looked. It was Tammy. I opened the door but left the chain on. What do you want, Tammy? We need to talk. No, we don't. Miles, please. This is all getting out of hand. Jenna's falling apart, Aaron's in jail, and now the FBI wants to talk to me too. Maybe you should have thought about that before you helped plan this whole thing. I didn't know it was illegal. You didn't know that forging someone's signature was illegal? I thought it was just relationship drama. I almost laughed. Relationship drama. Tammy, you helped them steal my identity and drain my bank accounts. That's not drama. That's felony fraud. I can fix this. I can make Jenna see reason. It's too late for that. Miles, please, she really did love you. She just got confused. She got greedy. There's a difference. I closed the door and turned to Jay, who was standing in the hallway looking stunned. Your life is like a movie, he said. Yeah, well, hopefully it's almost over. But it wasn't over. Not yet. The next morning brought another surprise. A knock on the door at 6 a.m., followed by Agent Collins' voice. Miles, we need to talk. Now. I opened the door to find her standing there with Detective Morrison and 2 other agents I didn't recognize. What's going on? Aaron Kowalski made bail last night. How? I thought federal fraud charges. His lawyer argued that he wasn't a flight risk, and that the pretrial publicity from your website was prejudicing potential jurors. The judge agreed. I felt my stomach drop. Where is he now? That's what we're trying to figure out. He missed his check-in this morning, and his ankle monitor went offline around 3 a.m. So, he's in the wind. It looks that way. Miles, I need you to take down that website. Now. Why? Because Aaron Kowalski is a dangerous man with nothing left to lose, and you just cost him everything. Your website is the first thing that comes up when you Google his name. He blames you for ruining his life. He ruined his own life when he decided to become a con artist. I understand that, but right now, we need to focus on keeping you safe. I looked around Jay's apartment, my temporary refuge that suddenly felt a lot less secure. What do you want me to do? Take down the website, pack a bag, and let us put you somewhere safe until we find him. For how long? However long it takes. I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. No. Miles, no, I'm not hiding. I'm not taking down the website. And I'm not letting this guy terrorize me into backing down. This isn't a game. You're right. It's not. It's my life, and I'm not going to spend it looking over my shoulder because some con artist is mad that he got caught. Agent Collins looked at Detective Morrison, who shrugged. Your choice, Morrison said. But if you're going to be stubborn about this, at least be smart. Vary your routine. Stay in public places. Keep your phone on. And for God's sake, don't go anywhere alone. I can handle myself. I hope so. Because Aaron Kowalski has nothing left to lose, and men with nothing left to lose are capable of anything. They left me with a direct number to call if anything seemed suspicious, and a lecture about the dangers of vigilante justice. But they also left me with something else. The knowledge that I'd won. Aaron was on the run, which meant he was finished. You can't run a con game when your face is all over the news and the FBI is hunting you. His criminal enterprise was done. Jenna had already signed the divorce papers. Her lawyer had called that morning to arrange the transfer. She was cooperating with the FBI in exchange for a reduced sentence, but she was still looking at serious jail time. And me? I was free. Free from a marriage that had been a lie. Free from people who saw me as a mark instead of a person, and free to rebuild my life however I wanted. My phone buzzed with a text from my bank. Electronic transfer received $8,247.83 from J. Patterson. Memo. Restitution. Jenna had returned the money, every penny plus interest. I updated the website one last time, adding a final entry. Case closed. Justice served. Moving on. Then I called Agent Collins. It's Miles. I'm taking down the website. Good choice. Any particular reason for the change of heart? I got what I came for. Which was? I looked around Jay's apartment, at the life I was about to rebuild from scratch, at the future that was finally mine again. The truth, and my money back, and the knowledge that sometimes the good guys actually do win. Just sometimes. Often enough. I hung up and closed my laptop. Tomorrow I'd start looking for a new apartment, a fresh start, a clean slate. Tonight, I'd celebrate the fact that my pause had finally become permanent. And somewhere out there, Aaron Kowalski was learning what it felt like to have his life turned upside down by someone who knew how to fight back.